Hi, welcome back. This is the second session really of our attempt at porting the XLnt GUI to PlayBASIC. So far we've got nothing really done except some basic code ported and the declarations moved across, and that's about where we find ourselves. The program itself doesn't do much interesting at all. We're just rendering out some of the graphics elements here, which we haven't got as yet. So our startup function is not actually doing what it's meant to be doing as yet. But we're going to press on. So let's find the startup function. There it is there actually. We don't need that. Bit of quick debug code to check if it was rendering, if we at least created something or rendered something. What we'll do is we'll try the next function, which is the open window. So I'll go over to the original source code. Do a search for it and try and port it across. Right, search. Fine. So this project here has just a dump of the original code, and we're just going to grab it and each bit that's dependent, we'll copy that across as well. So we'll slowly get through and port these things as we go. GUI delay. Let's put this one here. Now, in function is different. Straight away. A different return mechanism on the end of the function, and this function here is returning something of type window. Now, this is where the real works is going to start actually. It's how we want to emulate the linked list controls that Blitz uses, or this library uses. The main syntactical differences are things like the backward slashes. So that I think we could do pretty easily. Just comes down to what these numbers coming out of these. Are these going to be pointers? Are they going to be array indexes to something? Are they going to be, who knows? I think for the moment we won't worry too much about it. We'll just have a pointer coming out of it. We'll store them in a global array of windows, so we can look at that array for debugging purposes. Just simpler to do, and for the user's sake, we'll just return pointers to things. So these win itself will be a pointer to this window structure. In other words, if you just tried to go win id equals t and win is null, it will crash. In this kind of function here, that's not really possible because we're creating a window, we're not really modifying an existing window. What have we got parameter wise? Got a bunch of I tend to think that once you get beyond a certain number of parameters, that look, I know it's comfortable and it's kind of fun. You probably should have a string. It's really clumsy to write code like that all the time, but a string is it can be as short or as long as you want, and the parameter patterns are small for people to remember. But you do have to remember secondary flags, So it's convenient in some ways and then inconvenient in others. So let's try and tackle this. GUI ID plus 1. So I'm assuming that each thing that's created is given an identifier. an index, this is just adding by 1. So the assumption there is that it's unlikely the program will ever execute long enough that this will overflow, because that's a 32-bit number. Just save that for a second. I'll go back to here to the unmodified code. I'll do some of those global changes to it, so we don't have to worry about those as we come through. Let's go to the top, and we'll do a search replace of just end function. Place all thanks. It's a pretty long source that the IDE tends to pause pretty much, or choke up after a while. I think just a general replace of those things would get most of those and correct them. In our emulation library, we've already got functions that do image width, image height, so we don't have to replace those. We'll make a resize image as well. That will give us an ability not to have to worry about converting the code across, so that we can emulate what certain functions do. It's a pretty big library, we've got 9,000 lines. There's not that many comments in it, so I'll just save the old version of that for a second. We've got end select there as well, so that's another one. I'm not that concerned about the original source code. Just do some provisionary replacements. I don't think there's many of those. There's a fair few. Alright, let's go. What's another common one? End select is another one, and if block buffer. It's okay. That'll do us. It just saves us, a couple of replaces when we have to grab these functions and move them across. Go back to our port. All right. So, because Blitz has a linked list mechanism where when you create a new item here, this is some sort of handle back to it. I think what we'll do is we'll actually just treat it as a pointer. So what we can do here, we don't need this section here, but we do need to have as window at the bottom. So this is the prototype of the function. These are the input parameters, that's the name, but the return type is here. So we'll just tell it win as window pointer. So we don't need this declaration here, but we do need to create it. So we need to go win equals new window. That'll allocate a structure. Look, I guess we could do a few things here, can we? We could have window, gadget, all those things, subclass from the same parent, have one big array, have all of the window, everything the GUI creates in one big array that's constantly getting larger. This GUI ID stuff here. I think for now I won't bother, but if we want to make it sort of more, not efficient, but if you want to make it easier to debug, that could be something we need to do. trying to think. So we've got a window structure, gadget structure. Do we have a global that's meant to hold all these for us? I'm pretty sure there was. That's active window. Gad hit window, gad over. I'm not sure what this is actually doing with those. Contains current active window. So I guess that's this variable here would be the window that has focus. That when you select a window, or you move over a window, you can change focus in most GUIs anyway. So if you click on something and then you type, that window should be the one that receives input and mouse over events and clicks and that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming that's what that variable there does. But we don't seem to have a global list of these windows or objects in them, which is what I might do. I probably shouldn't start trying to modify how it works before I know how it works, should I? Let's not worry about that for a second. We'll just try and get it to create a structure and then worry about what we're doing. Now we don't need to return the window. That's the variable being exported out of the function. So when we get to the end of if we call this function here and we flow through, hit the endpoint, this will be returned to the caller. Now, of course, the other stuff here is not going to like this syntax stuff here. So we can just do a replace of that. Yeah. Sorry. Win's a type pointer, so we use the dot for the field selector. Replace all, thanks, all of those. Now we can see a few functions there. This function here we haven't got across yet. We're doing red, green, and blue. It's random range, that one. It probably should have been implemented as an optional parameter, but it isn't. Got a bunch of these properties all stacked on top of each other. Which is fine if you're very familiar with the code, but when you're not, it can be. I think there's like just that one function call in there, which is the menu bar. So clearly, if you create a window, then that window will have a menu associated with it as well. Let's just try and do a compile. And if you just get caught by that function call, syntax error. Now, what's giving us the syntax error? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There might be a mismatch of those parameters. That's very strange. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, it's fine. doesn't like the return type from there, which is understandable. Because we're returning a pointer back to a variable, we're going to have to convert that to an integer. This global definition of GUI def window, I'm assuming it's global. Just look for the declaration. Oh, it says window, that's why. That shouldn't be really. GUI define window as window. So I'm assuming what's happening in the Blitz version, that we have this linked list of these defined windows, which is really what I was talking about before, about you can just have an array. For now, we'll cull that out. We don't need that to be anything special. We'll just call it this as a global. So we'll come back and it will be a pointer. That should stop in the other menu bar. Yeah, there we go. There's a fly buzzing in the background. Annoying. Let's check this thing out, see what it is. Next one, thanks. Where's the function? Find gadget. There you go. Free gadget. There's a bunch of magic numbers in there too. Not that surprised by that. I mean, what I mean by magic numbers is there'll be values that are set to signify certain things that might just be integers, but inside the library, the guy who wrote the thing, or often when you write something and it's fresh in your mind, you'll have all these things right there and be available to you as you're writing this thing. So you might have different modes of something. Let's say you're running a game, you've got like a bunch of different AI types of 10 different modes, let's say, and mode 45 might happen to be the one that bounces the character left to right, and the other one might be 72 might be the one that chases after him. I mean, when you're writing it, they might be fresh in your mind, but when you come back a week later or 2 weeks later or 6 months later or 10 years later, they're just arbitrary sort of literals. So it can make it difficult to work out what's going on. You got to kind of step through that stuff. For us, well, I don't care. Right now, I don't care. So we're returning a gadget from this thing. No, it's just gad as gadget pointer, thank you. Don't need that. GUI find window. Why do we need to find the window from the menu bar? Sorry, find gadget. And this GUI ID gets bumped every time something's created. I guess we can notice when we've got leaks. But we'll need to have a look at what this does. T as window pointer. So we're passing in a pointer to this type of structure. So find gadget will be another pointer to this thing here. So they're just an integer really, but PBs classify as a pointer, so you can't use it in numeric expressions. And you can do things like dereference from it. No big deal otherwise. You can just do peeks and pokes, it's all the same stuff. No one cares. Well, least of all me. I better find the same. What was I just looking for? Menu bar gadget, there we go. So find gadget, what does that function do? Wow, it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's a pain. I don't know what it does. Find menu. This is a worker function of some type. It's doing some work finding our gadget. Return as gadget pointer, thank you. Win start gadget. Wow. I genuinely don't get what that's trying to do, but who cares? We'll work it out. Alright, so we've got find gadget here. We're passing in our window structure. Win as window pointer, thank you. So gadget, it's a declaration of here. We've got return gadget, we haven't got this declared, so we need that declared. Otherwise that won't work. So dim gad as gadget pointer. So gad equals win dot start gadget. So it must be keeping a linked list of all the gadgets that are attached to the parent. Pretty standard. If you're not sure what a linked list is, check out there's some examples in the forum I've written ages ago that do pointer-based linked lists, or you can do PB internal lists. So for more complex data structures, pointers is the way to go. You can have a slab of memory and just literally just connect bits of memory that you need in whatever order you want. Beyond the scope of where we are at the moment though. So this line here is now obsolete. Parent.gadget. Okay, we need it. So we're going to trace through this list. That's what I'm assuming it's doing. Pair equals gad. If gadget is not null, so if the parent is not null, we're going to repeat until we find this end point. So parent equals the current gadget, then gadget equals the next gadget. Yep. If gadget is null, then we found what we're looking for. We want to link this back to itself. Okay, so that's what we're doing there. So we're setting up true variable, so we exit. Don't really need to do that, I wouldn't have thought. You can just go exit to get out of the loop. we're going to allocate a new structure. Gadget parent field, and we've got a new variable being declared there, retrieved. Right, there's two situations we have to handle, don't we? So when we first try and find something or add something to a list, because doing the addition as well, so it's looking for the object, checking if it already exists. Is this gadget already attached to this parent? If it is, we'll yeah, it's just allocating a new gadget for the start. Start gadget. Start gadget parent. Let's have a close look at what they actually are. So I'd probably do this like this. I'd probably go returned equals new gadget. That's what we're going to return back to the user, right? And we're going to go start gadget equals here, or so we allocate. This equals the return gadget, which was currently null prior to this. And the parent is already null because that's null by default. Win start gadget. Maybe I'm missing something obvious there, but it just seems like we're just going to allocate a new one and attach it to this. Is that start gadget? Windows.start gadget, yeah. Seems fine to me. New parent equals gadget. So when we create the gadget here, gadget.parent equals parent. So when we're looking for, we're searching for the end of the linked list. So new gadgets are added to the end of an existing list unless it's the first item added to the list. And we're just creating something and sticking at the head of the list. We just search down till we find the next gadget is null, which means the forward link is not pointing at anything, which is the last item. We create something new. I think we should do the same thing there. We're retrieving this gadget for ourselves. New gadget. If gadget is null, shouldn't the parent link back to that? Going well so far, isn't it? Yeah, we're searching for the end of the list. We're repeating, we're starting here. Gadget's null, so, sorry, not null, so there's something in the list. we look at it going, I'm assuming that means parent. So it really should just be the retrieve gadget, and the parent of that is parent. And parent, I'm assuming, has a next link to retrieved. So we're pointing the new gadget back to end of the list. Window.bar gadget syntax error. So we're getting something out of this that we don't expect. What's WinMBar? Go check our window structure. WindowMBar as gadget. Yeah, we use this as TGAD as gadget pointer. So this is just an integer of the pointer to this menu bar if it exists. Field is not defined. It won't be. MBar gadget pointer, so we just renamed it. Find.gadget. Oh, of course that won't work. GUI menu bar, that won't work. Gadget as gadget pointer. So gadget equals this thing here. So we're passing a window structure into a find gadget. We're looking for this brand new gadget to add to this list, and that will be the menu bar. We're bumping the GUI ID. Then we've got all of our structure problems from before. So gad slash needs to be gad dot. Let's just do that. Do a replace. Where are we? Replace things. Gad slash and gad dot, exciting stuff. Gad ID. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so the very first thing it does is it grabs the current ID, stores it within the structure itself. Gadget.menu bar. So that in itself is actually another structure. It should be pointed back to that structure there. So this thing here, this menu bar will be of that type and a pointer to it. Let's go find it. Sorry, we're looking at gadget, aren't we? We're in gadget and we are min bar, there it is. GUI type pointer, so they're very long now. Where's T? Oh, T is the window title. Gad.win title T -6. T menu bar equals Gad. Gadget pointer, Gad status. That's a good example of magic numbers. Gad type 23, I mean, what does that tell me? Who knows? I have no idea. So we're getting the width, and it's the Windows parent width -6. The font height is some sort of global coming through here, Gad type 23. So let's see if we can find that. Right, so we have that type. I don't think there's anything special about it, that's all. Yeah, it's an empty type. It's just there to have a name. I wonder if PB will allow that to be empty. The answer is yes, it will. Syntax error. T mbar gadget pointer gadget. Now why is it not happy with that? Let's have a look. Yeah, you can't do that comparison with it now. Look at that actually. You've got to convert that to an integer and then compare it. Because that's a pointer. Field is not defined, so return gadget. Imagine Gad as gadget pointer. Let's go to find declaration. Just make sure what's up here somewhere. It's not either. So next in the parent we're not declared. This is next gadget pointer. I could probably not do that for that, actually. Parent gadget pointer. Yeah, it's not like I'm writing the code, I'm just kind of filling out for how this is going to work. Parent gadget pointer. There might not be, there isn't. That's why it doesn't like it. Because this field is now an integer, it doesn't like the idea of letting you set a pointer to an integer. There are some bits in PB where it's happy to allow you to do that, other parts where it's not. The instruction set's pretty old, so this is why GAD is not working here. Because GAD's a pointer to this structure. We have to retype it. And the same goes for this, actually. Well, menu bar doesn't even, it's not even necessary, really. There's nothing in it. So we just go men bar, new, right. We force this to be integer to make sure it's happy. Cheeky save, does the same thing. Great. I'm happy with that because we're getting to a point where it's actually running the thing but not necessarily creating anything or doing anything that interesting at the moment. So if I hit break down here, I run in debug, what have we got? GUI window pointer is this. We are actually initializing the structure, so we've got our ID 0, status is 1, our width is 110, height is 20 by default, I would imagine. Red, green and blue are set for whatever reason. Our menu gadget pointer is set to 0, which is kind of odd. So I guess by default we're not creating a menu bar. We're not. There you go. So we go up here to where that creation code is. I might just move the test out of here and maybe have a second. Go to project, manage project, new and test GUI. We'll move that to the bottom. This code is placed, included and compiled after everything else. GUI setup. Cool, it didn't die. Didn't do anything useful, but it didn't die. Right, GUI window. All right. The hope is to get this to render something. Let's go back to GUI window. Oh no, sorry. GUI message, okay. So it's using its own structures there, its own functions to create yeah, selection dialogues. He's using text there to do that as well, which is a cool idea. So you can pass, you know, longer messages to your function. Where's the test probe? GUI setup. Menu bar. Alright, so this is creating the window structure. And I guess open window is going to render it out. At the moment we don't have that in memory, so let's look it up. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. This actually creates the surface. So if we open up a window here and it has an existing image attached to it, that will create a new one. Window, let's do it here. There's a whole bunch of functions. See how we're getting nicely nested now again. Where window front, so we're pushing the window to the foreground, drawing the window, drawing gadgets, window events, none. Here, win as window pointer. Probably should have a check here, you know, if window if window equals null, then exit, just in case you pass it something that doesn't exist. Do we have an image handle? If we do, sorry, if it already does, let's delete that handle. Let's create a new image in its place. Set our status and active flags. Because I don't know what they do, but you know, we're creating this thing. The parent, the actual surface is the width and height of the that was passed in when the window was open. So we're creating an image of that size. Calling some functions to draw stuff. Gadget, and that's what we need. So let's get these functions. Window to front. Window status. Okay, win front, win back. I'll just grab that function first. We'll work on what we need and not worry about what we don't need for the time being. So CT as window, Windows pointer as well. Pull window CT to the front. So we're running through all the windows that we've got in this list. Okay, sorry. So we're adding 1 to all the windows. They're in the list currently. Then we're setting the current one that we just passed in, it's Z, to here. So what we probably should do is probably... No, it doesn't really matter, actually, does it? Because this win is a global somewhere that has a global pointer of these windows that they're linked to each other. Now I can use the same kind of thing in PB. We have a linked list of windows, but in other bits of code there we're using list handles are direct pointers to structures. So we might actually have to just keep a linked list of all of the created windows to emulate what that's doing. So it kind of feels the same all the way through. I haven't thought much about that. In fact, not at all. So for the time being, we'll just kind of comment that out, and we'll put a comment here, fix me. So the current window we're passing in, we're forcing it to be Z. We're setting an active window, which is that global pointer we were talking about earlier. To that. I'm saying its magic value status to this. So who knows what that means in terms of the GUI. If that's a type, it won't compile. No, it won't. I have to think about a way of creating the same structure. Like I can use a linked list in PB, right? But PB lists work different. You have the same sort of functionality. You can just add stuff to the list, and you don't really have to care about it. But sometimes it's more convenient to have direct pointers to things. So you might not need to use a list. You can just have a typed array, and then return the actual pointer to something, and inside the window structure itself, it keeps its own index to where the thing is within the array. So if you want to delete something, you could just grab the index and just free it from the main array. It's easy to view inside the debugger, etc., because you can see a whole list of this stuff inside that one array. I think for now, I'll make that a global. I would rather that all of these variables here actually were inside a GUI type. So you just have this declaration up front, and there's a whole list of these things here. You can set the default properties to them, but you can't really, the way it is there is that they're easy to make typos, etc. When I'm trying to port this thing, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. Well, it's not really a nightmare, I should say. I mean, it's well written, in the way the Blitz likes to work. So that's just going to be active window is just an integer that we're going to store a pointer to a window structure. But nothing will get trapped if it says that. In other words, if that's not typed correctly somewhere else, then we won't actually have anything happening. All right, what's that? can't have global pointers in PB. So you can have pointers declared within each scope, but they can't actually be accessible through other parts of the program. It wants a pointer passed in here. It doesn't want an integer result passed out of it. So we can just go dim win as window pointer win equals this, create the thing, pass win into here, then at the very end store this pointer in a global. We don't have a draw window function, so let's go grab it and see what this thing does. Excuse me. Draw window. Yeah, now we're getting a lot more code, which I thought we're about to get. Just chuck it in there. So we've got these other ones there. We've got GUI box, win, got a thing there called color, rect, XY, X1, XY, Y2. Yeah, I think rect works quite different. So wow. Draw window. Let's try and get this thing to work. Passing the window in as a pointer. We're checking if it has an image. If it doesn't, let's create something for it. We use our wrapped one there just in case. It's the same width and height. Calling set buffer here on that image. All of these parameters here are brutal. We'll just do a replace of all of that and hopefully we don't destroy anything. Win dot, replace all things, all of it. Different one. Draw a block. What's draw a block do? See where we get to. Got lots of functions we haven't got. Draw gads. So we can't draw gadgets yet. We don't have those things. Draw skin. Okay. GUI window but. Oh, it must be a button, of course. Let's find it. window butt skin. That's not what I wanted. Declaration window butt. Draws a coloured window button. GUI define window. There you go. There's just heaps of those draw lines. So draw line, put line. They all need to be emulated. GUI color, H line, GUI V line. Rectangle this, color that, rectangle this. Arrow and selected grey color. Well, I think something like here we could just do like a, a select case and use an ASCII for it. I mean, strings are very ugly. I mean, it's a great solution in many ways, but sometimes it can be just overkill. Sorry, go back to the function we're looking at. Yeah, draw windows. It's kind of what I was expecting, to be honest. This is the kind of stuff I thought there would be lots of this in it. GUI window butt. GUI window butt. Right, let's make this a pointer. So we force this to be an integer when we do a comparison against it. Skin is normal, thanks. Width and height, color, rectangle. We'll need emulations of rectangle. That'll help us along the way. Why have we got a recursive call for this? If win is null, step through here and do this. If win is null, why are we calling itself? Okay. If there's no window being created, that's potentially an infinite loop. If I'm understanding what that does. So if there's no, if we pass a null in, or if we pass a window that's not created properly, or exists, I should say. That's a bit scary. We just have a fix me on that one there. We might need to come back and repair that. This rect here, we'll move that to our library, so we can just have a rect function in its place and not worry about what's going on. P-sub rect xy width height. I think that's what's supplying. This is just box x, y, x plus width. And then y plus height. And true to fillet. Doesn't exist, let's go find it. Get over here, get out of this thing. Back to the original source. Let's look for that function. Just looking for the declaration of it. No, there you go. It's a very simple wrapper of that. H line, V line. I think we just grab those ones there actually. Basic drawing functions, let's just grab those. And see if we can get them to compile. It's kind of like a, we'll put them in front of that so we're seeing if its syntax is comfortable enough for us to compile that. Color rect. Rect color. So color must be just ink. P sub. Color. RGB, I'm guessing. And P sub. Ink. RGB. Ink. RGB. Yeah, if you call functions like that, I make these subs actually. That would be a function. Not that it really matters. A protected sub in PB is basically a go sub replacement. See how much of that we get through. Oh, hang on. Oh, we've got a collision. We've got a subroutine called this. I bet somewhere else we have this GUI color. Oh, there it is there. Yeah. All right, we got all the way through that. So we're drawing this thing, we're setting up our palette, we've got rectangle emulation. These are all just wrapped functions. The skin itself is a different function altogether. Let's go have a look, try and find it. So I'm looking for the last letter function and then that. It's the same thing, a bunch of wrap stuff. Who knows what that is? As image, that's the pointer. Set buffer tile block. Skin.normal. Set buffer, draw block, tile block. Creating an image, we're rendering to that image the skin normal, whatever that is, which I have no idea what that's meant to be. Excuse me. What's tile block? What are those things? Piece of tile block. I'm assuming that's drawing a tile image. I don't really know. Tile image. This image. Just whatever. Graphics buffer. Piece up graphics buffer. In function. We'll assume that's doing the same thing. Got to there anyway. GUI line. Wow. If buff equals front buffer or back buffer, I genuinely have no idea what it's trying to do. I'm not trying to understand it, I'm just trying to sort of pick through it and hope those things match up pretty well. So draw a block, I think that's just draw image. Grab image. What was the other one? Tile image. I'll put that one. Yep. Draw a block. X, Y. Draw image. This image at X and Y location things. Front buffer or back buffer is not defined. Okay, so you can, that has optional parameters. So where are we? Grab pixel, wherever that was, tile, x equals 0, y equals 0. I'm going to remove that. Now we're getting through it. Still have a lot of this to go, but look, a lot of the same functions are appearing. GUI box bar. What's the problem with that? GUI box bar is not defined. So find it. Let's go. Draws a normal or inverted button. Put that above it so I can see if we're getting through it correctly. As WindowCT, thanks. So it's pretty tedious stuff getting through this stuff. And we're not guaranteed it's going to work. That's for damn sure. So we're passing in nothing. We are using the define window as the current one we're looking at. Skin is that. H line. I'm not comfortable with that last one though. If the skin is not, I don't even know what those variables do. The skin 0 normal, I have no idea. If we are inverting it, so by default I would assume that's set to 0, so we'll be inverting, falling past that anyway. Yeah, we've got a plot there. Found a command we don't have. So we call the other function if that's not what we wanted. Yeah, very similar stuff actually. I'll grab that function there too, because it's going to be all the same stuff. Just chuck that there. Image, set image, create image. So it makes an image every time those things here are run. So they're all stockpiled as images and they're blitted together as a composite all the time. That one there we want as pointer, thank you. Passing windows in as pointer. Can probably just do a replace in all of that. Rectangle here. Got a parameter at the end of that. Let's assume that that's actually just the draw mode. Mode equals 1. So by default it would do a filled rect, and then I guess they would do an empty rec after that. There we go. Windows skin. To replace those. Who said this wasn't going to be fun, eh? Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Windows dot here replace. Thank you, all of them. Another quick save. I'm getting through it. It's doing a lot of boilerplate through there. Get string width. String width. Okay. Make a function, wrap it up. That's going to be, you know, something that's going to come up in other parts of the program. So we can go back through and do a replace later. Sorry, text width, isn't it? Text width, text. There's a height as well, so we'll go and do the same thing there. String height. It's text, thank you. Text. Return the result. Variable at the end. Cheeky save. Wow. Compiled and ran and didn't die. So that's better than I thought. Yeah, kind of shocked by that actually. Print integer win. If I just do draw image win image, see what we get, if anything. It didn't die, so this image exists, but we're not necessarily getting something useful at the moment. I'll just check that we're not rendering some of the surface. Render to, screen. Force all drawing to the foreground. Wow. That actually basically works. I'm actually shocked by that. I didn't think we'd get that to work at first. I'll just make sure that window GUI setup, it creates a very small surface up front. Graphics width. Get screen width, results, screen height. Create image width and height. Yeah. Right. I'll take explicit on in this section of the code and then turn it off at the end, because the rest of the code is not written with that enabled. This is one of those things you can do in PB. trying to see if we've got any typos in here. So we've got local X and Y things. Width is not defined. Of course it isn't. Sorry, we'll just go local height, width X plus Y. Just want to find those typos where we can. You know what? I think I might conclude this session because that's better than I thought was going to happen. Actually, I didn't think we'd get anything on screen at all. I thought we'd be bumming around with this for ages. I know the size is not right. Something's off about the way it's creating its size. I think a screen width and screen height, graphics width and graphics height. Just dump those to the console, which is just in the GUI. Sorry, in the debugger. Hit F7, console. Yeah. Creates the mouse pointer, which we don't really need. There's a bunch of work there doing that. Creates the font, and it creates a window. I'll just check what size, what they actually are. They're width and height. There you go. So the default one, I thought it was going to create a surface the same size as the actual screen surface. It doesn't. And just to kind of prove that, actually, we'll use screen width and height here. Hopefully that should work. Yeah, there you go. Unbelievable. It's offset, so we're drawing an offsetter down the bottom here. Cool. That's actually working. Now it's not interactive or anything like that. We haven't ported any of that code across. We're just porting the bit of code that defines the initial structure of the window. We've got problems, of course, if we have multiple windows, we've got nothing to keep them in a list. We haven't managed to work out a way to do that. And we've only got one basic gadget, which is the title bar gadget. Nothing else works. There's no interaction, no nothing. So don't get too excited about what we're saying. But you know, we've got to compile and run at some level. It's pretty messy, it's pretty ugly, but it's working. If you managed to watch all this, thanks very much for watching this. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you've found out why, if you're a Blitz user, you would have uncovered why you're having trouble moving old code to PlayBASIC, because they're on the surface, they're superficially the same, I guess, similar enough, but they're very different, really, in design. Just the way things go. You can port it across, you can do all the same stuff, but then you might have to roll your own implementation of some things that are native to Blitz, and vice versa. To port PlayBASIC code to Blitz, you've got to roll your own equivalents of how things work in PB World. So that's how stuff goes, mate. Alright, thanks for that, and I'll leave you there. We'll do some more tomorrow. Bye.